Yes, ladies and gentlemen, finally we're wrapping up this video series. This is part 3, so if you haven't seen the others, go check them out now. They're based on an article, if you can call it that, called 67 True Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I started off wanting to take the piss out of these stories and rip the piss out of them because I thought they were going to be like some BuzzFeed bullshit, but like half of them seem like they're probably actually true and they're genuinely scary. So I kind of regretted getting into it, but once I was halfway into the first video, I felt like I was stuck in a hellscape that I had to climb my way out of and finish it. So oh yeah, I should say, in case you haven't seen the other videos, I do believe paranormal events can happen, but I think 99 times out of 100 it's just people's minds playing tricks on them, or mental illness or drugs or whatever. Anyway, this one's called Haunted Tattoo Shop. Right. Worked in a tattoo shop where 2 of the past owners had died. One of them died just a block away from the shop, and it was long rumoured that the shop was haunted/cursed. Weird stuff would happen, like speakers/decorative knives falling off shelves overnight and smashing through our glass top light table, and the lights would flicker on and off. One late night I was alone in the shop tattooing some 18-year-old kid, and the light above me started flickering. My lights above my station had always been perfectly lit, so this seemed unusual. It was flickering so much that it was starting to get annoying, and I began to feel nervous, even though I didn't really believe the shop was haunted. Finally, after a few minutes of this, I stopped tattooing for a second, looked up at the light and said in my head, okay, parentheses, dead shop owner's name, I get it, you're here, can you stop messing with my light please? It was supposed to be kind of a joke, so she's trying to joke with a ghost. The light stopped flickering instantly. It went back to just shining regular old light, and I went back to tattooing, pretty shaken up. From that moment I knew the dead shop owner was there, and I knew he was just causing occasional mayhem to fuck with us. Nothing malicious, but definitely haunting that place. Okay, if you say so. I'm not really convinced, to be honest with you, but anyway, this one's called Co-Worker Apparition. I was returning to my office having finished a meeting. As I approached the door, I saw my colleague walk from the left to the office to the right, presumably returning to his desk. As I entered the office, I started to say, hey man, suddenly abruptly on the realization that there was nobody else in the office with me. I'm not sure what exactly I witnessed, but it was clear enough and detailed enough to convince me 100% that my colleague would be in there. Yeah, that's an hallucination, mate. There's a lot of, fortunately, I'm diagnosed with my bipolar disorder. I don't hallucinate as much as I used to, but there's a lot of people out there, my point is, there's a lot of people out there with undiagnosed mood disorders and psychiatric conditions that can cause hallucinations. So a lot of these paranormal events are bound to be because someone is tripping balls because of mental illness. Also, even cannabis can cause hallucinations in some people. Anyway, this one's called oh no, I've read this one already. I'm not going to even bother trying to be really professional in this video. I just need to get this series wrapped up. I kind of regretted getting into it, but it's too late now. Anyway, this one's called At Least It Wasn't the Other Way Around. This sounds a bit interesting. A few months ago, I had this really scary dream that seemed to be so real. In my dream, I was in my bed doing something on my laptop. Suddenly, I just had a bad feeling something wasn't right. Like I somehow knew that something was in my room with me that shouldn't be there. I jump off my bed and hurry and flip the light on. I flip it on just in time to see this weird black shadow sphere thing with legs zoom under my bed. I woke up scared and crying, but it felt so real and I just knew whatever I saw was very evil. The next day, me and my dad were watching one of those ghost shows. In the episode, this woman was in her room and all of a sudden she felt like something wasn't right. She turned her light switch on just in time to see a weird black shadow sphere thing with legs scurry under the bed. Bed. It pretty much looked exactly like the thing I saw in my dream. I flipped the fuck out. Yeah, dreams are weird. I've had dreams, then the things happen later on. They don't always happen exactly as they do in the dream, but weird things, and I don't know whether it's coincidence or some genuine metaphysical fucking paranormal event. Don't get me wrong, as skeptical as I am about these stories, I believe that paranormal events can happen. I just do believe most experiences are hallucinations. And the thing is even though they're hallucinations, they're real to the person experiencing them. And like I said in the other videos, if you're emotionally attached to the situation and it scared you, you're not thinking so much with your rational brain. You're thinking more of your emotional brain, so you're more likely to jump to irrational conclusions. Anyway, let's move on. Anyway, working late in the lab at school, I had to grab something from an upstairs classroom. It's after midnight and the entire building was empty and dark. Suddenly the phone in the classroom starts ringing. So after that heart attack, I decide to answer it. Silence, not even a dial tone. So I hope out and go to my dorm. I'm guessing they meant hop out. The next day I have class in that room. So I asked my professor how often people call the classroom phone by mistake. He looks at me funny and says the phone in that room has been disconnected for years. Again, could be a hallucination. The murder chair. Oh, okay, this sounds like it's going to be a bit fucked up. Took my 3-year-old, oh no, and it gets worse. It starts off straight away with a 3-year-old daughter and it's titled The Murder Chair. Oh my word. Took my 3-year-old daughter on a hiking trail through some local woods. I let my daughter lead the way and she chose to turn up a path that was far less traffic than most of the trails in the area. About 10 to 15 minutes in on this relatively overgrown and barely there trail, heading deeper into a more isolated portion of the forest than I'd ever been to previously, we came across a grisly sight. A white plastic lawn chair tied to a tree by a rope, the seat covered in splatters of days-old dried viscous fluid. He's even linked an image. I'm not going to go on that image or put it in the video. I snapped that pic and then picked my daughter up and moped the fuck out of there. After the fact, I've come to a far less creepy explanation for what we saw, but in the moment it was creepy as fuck. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised like if it is a murder chair. That's the kind of thing that could be real. Right, because I mean like people do get murdered. And you know, I saw this picture on Reddit, yeah, and someone in an ex-Soviet country, I can't remember which one exactly, so I'm sorry guys, an ex-Soviet country, there was someone had found a homemade electric chair, and that is fucking scary. Anyway, this one's called The Crow. Sounds like some Edgar Allan Poe shit. I was working with a young client with childhood onset schizophrenia. This individual was a harm to themselves and others. Oh man, I think I've got schizophrenia and I've had mates who have it, and it's a serious illness, man. So I was working with a young client with childhood onset schizophrenia. This individual was a harm to themselves and others. My back was to the window in my office, and then they started screaming, "The man in black is here, he followed me, no, no." As I am trying to calm them down, they start to sob. "He is at the window, I can hear him, he says he wants to hurt you, he will come in there and take your skin off, he wants you dead." I'm trying to calm them down, moving through the plan we had when they were overcome by their hallucinations. Then I hear tapping on the window. There is an enormous black crow at the window, tapping on the glass extremely hard with its beak. The bird was just staring at me. It would tap, bringing its head back and slamming its beak into the glass, then staring over and over again. I got the client calmed down and we ended. The bird was still there. We leave the office. The bird was still there when I came back. Next client comes in. Bird was still there. That kind of sat at my window for another 4 hours, staring and tapping. Yeah, birds do that, you know. Like I've seen seagulls. I'm from a seaside town, and I've had seagulls tap in windows. Often it's because they have a nest, like on your roof or something like that, and so they start getting territorial and aggressive, tapping on the window to like at you, because they're nesting there, and they kind of see it as their area and their territory rather than yours. Right, so let me have a vape. That is weird though, like it is a weird story, but schizophrenia is serious, man. Fortunately I only get visual hallucinations. I've only had auditory hallucinations a few times in my life, but I'd rather have visual hallucinations than auditory ones, because like voices are, fuck that. Imagine having voices telling you what to do and stuff like that, and criticising you all the time. That'd be horrible. Obviously I've got an internal dialogue that criticises me and, you know, is a bit of a dick, to put it bluntly. It's different when obviously it's not an hallucination unless it's coming from the outside. You're perceiving it as something from the outside. I'm just gonna have a vape. Oh no, this is another Peeping Tom story. we're gonna have to dive into this. Like, it's gonna be to do with voyeurism, which is where people enjoy watching other people who are unaware they're being watched, often during intimate moments like them going to the toilet or having sex or getting changed or undressed or whatever. Anyway, so it's called Peeping Tom. I don't know if these creep me out, these stories. I don't know if this counts because I was too young to actually remember this happening. But one day when I was in elementary school, oh no, so they were young as well, that's even worse. My mum picked up my brother and I from school and we stopped to play at a local park on the way home. We ended up leaving early because there was a sketchy truck parked there, not in the parking lot, and my mum was a little uneasy about it. Later that night, my mum was getting ready for bed and screamed because there was a guy peering through her bedroom window. Oh no. My dad ran outside, but the guy was gone already. A month or so later, we were watching America's Most Wanted and my mum recognised one of the guys as the guy who had been peering through her window. See, that just be her imagination, to be fair. Like, I mean, the chances of that are kind of... Oh, okay. His truck was identical to the sketchy truck she had seen at the park, so maybe it was him. He had murdered his girlfriend's parents. Oh no, girlfriend and brother were stabbed but survived. So, oh no, so it could have actually been that dodgy geezer, man. Oh, that's bad. Fuck, that's not good, is it? Okay, so this one's called Benign Ghost. Almost every night my TV turns on by itself. Okay, you're just copying the fucking, that movie, The Poltergeist or whatever now. This is what pisses me off because I think half of these stories are fake. And they've just ripped something they've seen from a scary movie and repackaged it and reformulated it to, you know, like make a spooky story. And that's fine, make spooky fictional stories, but don't fucking try and pass them off as true stories. I hate people who do that. I know I sound like a fucking boomer, but seriously, I do hate that. Okay, so almost every night my TV turns on by itself at some point between 3 to 5 a.m. I used to think that maybe it was one of my cats who walked across the remote. But I've tried hiding the remote, putting it in places where they couldn't get to it, and it still happens. Now I just turn the sound all the way down before I go to bed. The TV will still get turned on, but at least then I won't be woken up by it. I'm sure there's some reasonable explanation for it, but I rather like the idea of having a benign ghost who likes late night TV living in my tiny apartment with me. Yeah, I'm sure if it was actually a fucking ghost, they wouldn't just turn the TV on, they would also turn the sound on. Because you can't be half benign. Like, you know, he's already turning the TV on. If he's already turning the TV on and it's freaking you out, he's not going to fucking suddenly stop at the sound. He's going to be able to turn the fucking sound on too. Anyway, this one's called Shooter. Oh no, there's so many tragic shooting stories. I'm not like having a go at gun rights or anything like that. Okay. I mean, as a side note, I may as well talk about what I think about gun rights in America. So, it's unfortunate that there's so many guns available to criminals, but it's got to the point where I'm pretty sure there's more guns in America than there are Americans. So actually, it's safer for schools to have armed teachers, and you know, like, it's actually safer. It would be safer if every law-abiding citizen who was morally upright carried a concealed firearm, because then when shooters go crazy, I know there'd be more murders out of passion because people happen to have guns on them, and it's easier to murder someone with a gun than say stab them or strangle them. So there'd be more deaths in that sense, but there'd be less deaths from all these shooters and shit like that. Anyway, it's called Shooter. Yeah, so I don't like that there's loads of guns in America, and I don't like gun crime, and I'm glad that guns aren't as easily accessible in the UK. But banning guns would be so stupid, like, because then, like, I know this is cliche, but it's true. Then only criminals will have their hands on guns, so it's too late. Yeah, it's just like, you know, like. I think all schools should have armed guards and teachers should be armed. I really do believe that, because the amount of school incidents that happen is disgusting. It's despicable. I'm pretty sure you guys have an incident like every other week or every week or something. And it only seems to be getting worse from what I can see. So yeah, I mean, like, teachers, I mean, obviously you get the odd case where a teacher gets really pissed off at a student and just fucking blows their head off. But like, I'm pretty sure the positives would outweigh the negatives. If a school is armed and I shouldn't be going on about this so much, but it's because it's political. But if a school is armed, a shooter is going to think twice before going into that school. They're going to look for a school where the teachers aren't armed, and there's actually some schools, from what I'm aware of, that are arming teachers. Anyway, so I hope you see where I stand on that. I'm on the fence. Like, I don't like the fact that guns are easily accessible in the US, but at the same time, I know it's too late to ban them, and it would actually be safer if everyone was armed. Anyway, moving on. I know that's going to be controversial, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to get political. I try not to get political on this channel. Anyway, okay, so I had a customer who come into my work wearing a trench coat and Ushanka type hat. Looked to have something strapped to his shirt under his coat with duct tape. He left. I messaged my wife about how creepy he was and that I thought he had a bomb on his chest. He came back 15 minutes later and thanked me for being polite and started talking about religion and Obama being the Antichrist. Turns out he was on his way to shoot up the Planned Parenthood and he managed to kill 3 people. Oh, that's not good, is it? That's not good at all. Especially, like, I'm a Christian, so that's disappointing. But you're gonna get fanatics with anything. Like, even like politics, you get fanatics. Like, anything that people can believe in with zeal, you're gonna get nutters. Like, so same with, like, you know, like Islam. Again, not to get political. I know most Muslims are completely peaceful and are actually really charitable and you know, like, loving. But like, same with Christians. And any other group of people, I'm like, you know, like, there's gonna be good eggs and bad eggs. Like, you know, it is what it is. Like, life isn't always black and white like that. You know what I mean? Anyway, next story. It's called, we're nearly at the end, ladies and gents. It's called Family Story. When I was about 10, something really weird happened to my family. We were all asleep as usual and I slept in the same room as my brother and my mum with my father and younger brother. In the middle of the night, the safe in my parents' room starts going off as if someone was playing with it. My parents didn't think much about it, went to bed. Right as they did that, my brother's toys, parentheses, the ones that had those children's songs, started playing music without anyone touching it. They were a little freaked out, but it went away after a few minutes, so they went back to bed. That would freak me out, man. Even though I'd know it's probably just a glitch or whatever, that would really freak me out. However, in the morning, when my mum brought my brother to the shower, she saw a red handprint on his back that was too big to be hers, but too small to be my father's. I saw the handprint and it looked as though someone had slapped my brother, but nobody did, and he slept quite well. That is weird, man, and it doesn't sound like they're making it up, but they probably are. My mum called her family and told my grandparents about it. After a few phone calls, we found out that my paternal grandma died that night while we were asleep. Oh no, that's sad. So our family came up with the explanation that my grandma wanted to see my newborn brother, so she paid us a little visit. Parentheses, my family is a bit superstitious, but apparently it's normal for South Europeans. Yeah, it is actually quite normal, but even with the UK, in West Europe, we can be like really superstitious. Anyway, I still am unable to explain that, and it's still a little scary to think about. Fair play, I'm not gonna doubt you, I'll just take your word for it, because I'm getting sick of this video series by this point, and I'm very sorry about getting so political, man. Like, I really shouldn't have done that, but I'm gonna keep it in the video anyway. I hate getting political, I really do, and I hate being a fence sitter. But, like, you know, like, these issues aren't always black and white, and people get so dogmatic and fanatical about things, and they get blinded by emotion, and they don't see the bigger picture. And, you know, life is complex, it's complicated, man. Anyway, so this one is just simply called Haunted. When I was young, we used to live in a house that we didn't know was haunted at the time. There were many things I remember happening, but the one that freaked me out was when my sister said that whenever they tried to look for me, they always found me in my mum and dad's closet with the door closed. Okay, I would be sitting there in the dark and play with my toys, and when they asked why I was in there, I would say I'm playing with my friends. Yeah, kids have imaginary friends, man. It's not that fucking weird. Other things kept happening, that my parents brought a medicine man to the house. He told us that, so like a shaman, I suppose. He told us that an old man and his 2 granddaughters died in a fire in that house. So he did his ceremony to get rid of the spirits. He told, that reminds me, the house that I grew up in, I'm talking about me now. The house that I grew up in, a family died from a fire. Some of them survived, but like a baby died, and the mother and the daughter, I think, but the father and brother managed to survive. And I thought that was going to make the house haunted, but you know, if you know something like that has happened in a house, your mind is going to be more likely to play tricks on you with shit like that. Anyway, let's carry on. I shouldn't comment on stories until I've read the whole thing, because I'll make myself look like a pleb. Anyway, other things that kept happening, that my parents brought a medicine man to the house. He told us that oh yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. My mum got some Christian pastor guy to come and cleanse the house. That's why it reminded me of it so much. So it's a very similar situation. He told us that an old man and his 2 granddaughters died in a fire in the house, so he did his ceremony to get rid of the spirits. He told us to leave the front door open for tonight, and we all slept in the living room. Towards the middle of the night, I remember we all woke up to the sound of the front door slamming shut, indicating that the spirits have left us. Yeah, that could also be the wind, mate. Alright, I'm gonna have a vape and some tea. Give me a sec. That could also be the wind, you bell end. Right. I'm sorry about my delivery. I probably sound bored at this point, but there were like 67 stories to get through. So it's been a 3-part series. Anyway, this one's called The Thin Person. Definitely not talking about me then. My father's story. One day he was cooking for the family. The living room and the kitchen is one room where in the middle of it there is a corridor that leads out to the bedrooms. That sounds weird. As he was cooking, he turned around and saw this really tall and thin person runs out from the living room through the corridor. My father, as a man of science, does not believe in the paranormal, but this got him. He went to check in every single bedroom just to be sure about it. That is the part that terrifies me. Yeah, hallucinations again. Like it's like surprisingly common for people to hallucinate. This one's called Ghost Sister. I was waiting at my nan's house alone for a couple of hours. Do Americans say nan? Because in the UK we say nan for grandma. Do Americans say that? I'm not sure. Anyway, I was waiting at my nan's house alone for a couple of hours, and it was all fine and dandy. I love that expression. I was sat on my armchair near the door of the living room, and I hear my sister clearly call my name in an annoyed way. She wasn't in the house. My heart started beating like crazy, and then when she did come in the house, about 40 minutes later, she just laughed at me. I still don't know what it was on my mind. I don't know what it was, or if my mind was playing tricks on me, but it was very creepy. Yeah, it is creepy when your mind plays tricks on you and you hear things and see things. I can relate, man. I can relate. At least some of these people, like, you know, like realize that it's not necessarily paranormal, because I really do think the vast majority of like quote unquote paranormal events are just like products of imagination or delusions or hallucinations. Anyway, this happened to my old co-worker. She was in the process of purchasing a new home. Her and her family would visit the developing home every weekend just to see the progress of the house. A few weeks passed where life got busy and they couldn't visit it. Her 3-year-old daughter came up to her one day and said, "Mummy, when are we going to the house again? I want to see my friend." She replied, "Oh, okay, sweetie, we're going there tomorrow, actually." She said, "Yay," and ran off. My co-worker thought that maybe she was talking about a neighborhood kid or something like that and didn't think much of it. They visit the house the following day, and on the way home, her daughter starts crying. "Mummy, I'm so sad I didn't see my friend." And she replied, "Oh, honey, don't worry. Maybe you'll see your friend next weekend when we go." So my co-worker prayed that night to basically bring her daughter comfort and make her forget about this quote-unquote friend. That, or have her see whoever that is next weekend. Well, the next day, her daughter comes running into the room saying, "Mummy, Mummy, I'm so happy I saw my friend." She replied, "Oh, you did? Where did you see your friend?" Parentheses, confused because she always talks about seeing her friend on the other side of town. "I saw her in the mirror," her daughter replied. "What?" my co-worker said. "She said she loves me, but she can't see me anymore." My co-worker asked, "What's your friend's name and what does she look like?" Her daughter responded, "She's really pretty, long dark hair, and her name is Diana." My co-worker's heart sank. That was the name of her sister that died at birth. Oh, that is weird, man. If that's true, something about how that's written, do you know what? I might read that again. Something about how that's written it's almost like it's true. And if that is true, that is really sad and really creepy and really like all at once. So I'm gonna blast through it. I'm sorry for repeating it, but you can skip a little bit if you want. This happened to my old co-worker. She was in the process, I'm going to try and read it as fast as possible. She was in the process of purchasing a new home. Her and her family would visit the Birmingham house every weekend just to see the progress of the house. A few weeks passed where life got busy and they couldn't visit it. Her 3-year-old daughter came up to her one day and said, "Mummy, when are we going to the house again? I want to see my friend." She replied, "Oh, okay, sweetie, we're going there tomorrow actually." She said, "Yay," and ran off. My co-worker thought that maybe she was talking about a neighbourhood kid or something like that. Didn't think much of it. They visit the house the following day, and on the way home, her daughter starts crying. "Mummy, I'm so sad I didn't see my friend." And she replied, "Oh, honey, don't worry. Maybe you'll see your friend next weekend when we go." So my co-worker prayed that night to basically bring her daughter comfort and make her forget about this friend. That or we see her the next weekend. Well, the next day her daughter comes running into the room saying, "Mummy, I'm so happy I saw my friend." She replied, "Oh, you did? Where did you see your friend?" Confused because she always talks about seeing her friend on the other side of town. "I saw her in the mirror," her daughter replied. "What?" my co-worker said. She said she loves me and she can't see me anymore. My co-worker asked, "What's your friend's name? And what does she look like?" Her daughter responded, "She's really pretty, long dark hair, and her name is Diana." My co-worker's heart sank. That was the name of her sister that died at birth. That was legit me reading it fast. That's not even sped up. Yeah, I'm like an MC. Like I can rap. Like I used to do drum and bass and everything. Yeah, since I was 11. So you know, I got that. I can do that thing. I mean, like like kids do have imaginary friends, and it could just be a coincidence that you know, like it's the same name, Diana, as the you know, it could be a coincidence. But either way, if that's fake, that is written really well and in a really convincing way. Okay. Oh, is that the end of it, ladies and gentlemen? Is that the last story? Oh, okay. Yeah, we can end it then. Oh, okay. I'm happy. It's over. It's over. I suppose that's kind of like it seems like a good story to end it on. All right, guys. So check out my music videos. Check out my shorts. Check out my other videos like this. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.